Go ahead and get started. Call the work session January 5th, 2023 to order. Ask the committee, have you, or the board, have you had a chance to review the minutes from the December 8th meeting? Any questions or changes? Hearing none, we'll move this on to be approved. We have no reports or action requests, so we'll move on to department reports. First up is Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor. We had an engineering project out on Gun Roman drainage issue. We met with a property owner, the engineers, and several from the city, and it was determined to abandon this project, not to go no further with it. I'll answer any questions if there is any, or
Any questions from the board? Anybody has any questions of the abandonment of the property? If not, this will go on to Tuesday for a vote. Okay, we'll move that on to Tuesday night. Second is the police department, Chief Pendergraft.
Good morning, everyone. I have one general event permit application. This will be for first Saturdays. It will run the first Saturday of April through October from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Setup is at 9 and the event starts at 10. They're expecting approximately 1,000 people, and the setup will be around the square. I've approved this for your consideration. The first one or two events, I will assign 2 officers to this in an overtime status. If we see that the overtime is not needed and we can handle it with the home duty personnel, we'll adjust as we need.
Okay, any questions of Chief Pendergraft? And Jacob, if you're on Main Street Board, this is in place of First Fridays. We're moving from First Fridays to First Saturdays.
That's right.
Okay, thank you. Fire Department, Chief Kimbrough.
The first item is we had to make an emergency purchase for a turbo for engine 1 while it's being repaired in Friendly Mountain. And the total of that is $5,431. The second item is the SAFER grant permission for the additional personnel. That is a grant through FEMA, and we are looking to hire 3 more personnel. It has not opened up yet. I'm not sure of an exact date of when it will open up. We were just asking for permission for the intent to apply for this grant. I believe y'all have on your iPads some figures. In the past 3 years, they have paid 75% the first 2 years, 35% the third year, and then the 4th year, the city will pick up the entire salary. We are not sure if it's going to be the same percentages. We have given you some numbers to kind of look at if it's the same percentages, but if it's different, we'll let you know and we'll adjust the numbers to make that fit for y'all's needs. The third one is the SAFER grant for the recruitment and retention. We believe in the past it's always been 100%, but we'll verify that one as well. We're just asking for the intent and permission to apply for that one. It will be for going to the schools and doing some recruiting. Also, it will pay for some of the training that we do for current and new employees, and that will take care of the recruitment and retention grant. The fourth one is a new grant that I actually just found on Sunday afternoon, and it's the Firehouse Sub grant. It was a 100% grant. We're going to ask for 32 new radios. The total of that is $22,881.60. And like I said, that one will be a 100% grant. It opens up January the 12th for that one. And other than that, I do have one opening in my department after January the 9th, will be his last day. So other than that, that's my report.
Does anybody have any questions of Chief Kimbrough on these grants and what they may cover, or any questions at all?
On number 2, the 3 employees.
yes, sir.
Now that, what you're telling us is this will be reoccurring. Once we hire them, we've got to come up with
This will
funds
be
to pay.
reoccurring, and like I said, the first 2 years they'll cover 75%, so we're responsible for 25% of the salary. The third year, they cover 35% of the salary, and then the fourth year, we take 100% of it.
So are you working with the finance department to the budget process to
I have,
see that can be budgeted?
She's the one that's got this for me, and it's, I think it's the same sheets on your iPad.
Okay, when will this, if you get it, when will this become effective?
It's got to be opened up first to be able to apply. They'll change the date farther out, so I don't know exactly when the effective date will be. The holdup, from what I'm understanding on some forms that we've seen online, is something to do with the Senate and the House and swearing in other people. They have just not signed it that far up.
You mean the Tennessee House or the National House?
I think it's going to be the National House.
Well, you forget about that, then I don't know if anything's gonna happen.
Like I said, I think that's where the holdup is right now. The Tennessee one has sent it on, and then it's just a holdup right there right now, so I don't know when it will.
I believe that. So is it a change? It could be this next budget year.
We're hoping.
Okay.
We're hoping I don't know.
So if it is, we need to be prepared to agree to fund this.
Correct.
Know this is coming.
What we've discussed, if approved by the board, we would budget accordingly to cover it. And
Right.
then if the grant was not approved, or if it did not go through in next year's budget, that would just be savings within the budget.
Okay.
But we would budget enough to cover what the second grant did not, as far as equipment, any of their needs as far as training. But the second grant would pretty much cover what we would need for the new.
The second grant should cover everything, but you may get one and not get the other, or vice versa. You may get both.
Right.
Yes.
So we need to be-
kind of prepare for both.
We need to be prepared. If you get it, within 3 years, we've got the whole load. We gotta do it all
Correct.
In the fourth year.
in the fourth year. And the third year.
And what we're voting on tomorrow is just for you to inquire, to put your name in the hat. We're not voting yes or no on are we
Correct.
going
You're only
to do
going
this.
to give me the permission to apply for it.
And then we would have to accept the grant once awarded.
Okay.
So it doesn't commit us to anything until we see the percentages, we see the dollar figures and the dates.
That's correct.
Yeah, this did go through finance, and we agreed to pass it through, so everybody we can, vote on it for Tuesday night or what, but it's, they have to have this to get started on it.
Tony, how's morale?
It's all right. Like I said, there's issues that there's frustrations there, but it's on the biggest end of it is good. But they, like I said, it's within the whole city. It's pay. I was just come out and be honest.
In overtime.
In overtime, they're working a lot of overtime. Which now we do have everyone back from. We had one out on maternity leave. She's back now, so that's going to help out with some overtime and not having to work everybody so much on that shift and stuff like that. So.
Okay. You mentioned a while ago you got an opening. Is he going to another fire department?
He's actually going to work at an electrical company. I don't really know what he's actually going to be doing, but I just know it's going to be an electrical company.
Let me ask you this too. So you said that we, starting out, you said it's at the committee meeting the other day. If they're not trained and you hire one that comes on, that has no training whatsoever,
Correct.
how much did you say that the city is possibly investing in them?
If we end up if they cannot fit turnout gear that we have extra right now, and by the time we buy them their daily uniforms and get them the training, you're going to be, well, I don't have that paper exactly with me, it's right around the 9,000, 9,500 range.
Okay.
So that you would be investing in a new employee just right off the gate to put them to work.
Okay. I think, man, one of the things that's good about this grant is that, it's going to hopefully get more people in, and hopefully we can keep people.
Right.
I know Mr. Bryant said in one of the YouTube videos that I watched a couple months ago that we're investing into our people, but then our people are wanting to leave and want to go do other things and make more money. So,
We're losing other counties.
yeah, we're losing to other counties.
All they gotta do is walk in the factory out here and make it $20 an hour.
Exactly. And then, Bedford County's making $58,000 to $60,000 a year as a firefighter?
Lewisburg.
Lewisburg.
Of course, and we can't compete with a Huntsville and a Murfreesboro and stuff like that.
Obviously not.
But we should be able to try to compete with someone that's touching our county, around us here.
So I think we need to start investing more into our emergency services just a little bit. So just to keep them here, I hate to train somebody to train them to be the best that they can be, and then they go be the best they can be at another service.
Correct.
I don't like that, so.
That's just like police, they do
Yeah,
the
just
same
like the
thing.
police as well, you know, so. All right, that's all the questions I had, man, thank you.
Any other questions of Chief Kimbrough? If not, we'll move on to Parks and Recs, Brian Carter.
Good morning.
Morning.
Our electrical work at Don Davidson is, of course, is still on hold. We're still waiting for materials. Hopefully, some of those materials will be in next month, and the other portions should be in May. Our restrooms at S.J. King Park, they were completed. All the work, all the repairs have been done, and we're looking to put concrete bollards or concrete poles there to add some protection around those restrooms so we don't have what happened to us the last time when someone ran into that particular building happened. We don't want it to happen again. Update on tables and chairs. All the tables and chairs have been bought. We're waiting for our stands to come in, and then we'll have that project complete. Our Pee Wee press box ceiling repairs, we're waiting till the spring comes and possibly getting more funding on that to get those completed. The same with the Little League field press box. And with the soccer field net, we're coordinating with FPU so they can drill the holes for those, because those poles they're pretty tall and they'll need to be dug deep in the ground. So as soon as we can get coordinated with them and get it done, we will have those nets up. Yeah, that's my report.
Any questions of the director?
Brian, on that ball field, is that one still an option? That one field opening up? I only remember it was discussed a couple of months ago, just for that one field. Is that still an option?
Yes, that still is an option. That's on the southern end right there. Yes.
Okay. So they could open that up, just close the other parts?
Yes.
Alderman, if I can add to Brian's report, we did meet with the school yesterday. We have a site visit as far as what the schools can use as far as their baseball. Is that Wednesday, Brian?
Yes, that is Wednesday.
So we will meet with the coaching staff to see what will be available, considering the work is still going on at Don Davidson.
And all this is just because of COVID and all this supply chain issues.
Supply chain mostly. I mean, we're just waiting for everything to come in, and we have been told that it's probably going to be May before we get our final pieces in. You know, and we're hoping it stays.
Okay, moving on to planning and codes.
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to highlight some of our December accomplishments. Mr. Williams received his mechanical residential certification. He only has one more certification left, which is the mechanical commercial certification, and he is preparing to take that within the next 2 weeks. Ms. Jill Smith received her property maintenance and housing inspector certification. She was able to obtain this, only being employed within 7 months, which was a big undertaking for her. We are starting our blueprint archival project. This is a budgeted item, and we're happy to get this first phase started. We talked about it in committee, but we are also preparing for the budget, working with Miss Jamie and Mr. Owens on a few things, and we have lots of good things that we're trying to do in 2023 through the Planning Commission. We're still working on the sign ordinance project, and we also talked about some of the municipal codes and zoning ordinances that we are going to try to update throughout this year as well.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions, planning and codes? Moving on to IT.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have no action items for this month's meeting cycle, just a couple things to report on. Last month's meeting, I tried bumping up the volume in the room, ended up turning up too high, created a feedback loop, blew the amp. Everything was good, but I wasn't able to test the speaker back in the camera room. It was blown, so I replaced that. Mr. Bryant at our committee meeting pointed out we had a couple outdated bits of information and some redundant pages. We're going through and cleaning those up, and when we get the new information for some board members that he was telling us about, we'll have that on there as well. And that's my report.
Anybody have any questions from IT?
All I know, Zach, is if it's too loud, you're too old. Thanks, buddy, appreciate it.
I've got it at max. If it goes any more, it'll feed back into the microphones and ends up overloading the amp.
I got you, bud, I got you.
Is this for the audience hearing, or what is this concern?
For the audience, and
Yeah.
it's also tied into the speaker
The
in the
recorder.
camera room that the camera feeds from.
Okay.
There's a tad bit of feedback right now coming from somewhere. I don't know if that's,
Check, check. Yeah, I can hear that ringing.
Hard to be a sound guy. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Finance Department, Jamie?
Yes, the first sheet that you'll see is our local option sales tax. Year over year, for the first 6 months, we are $140,245 above where we were last year, which is at 45.91% for our local option sales tax. Occupancy tax, we are $20,222 above this point last year, and at 62.06% of our $160,000 budget for occupancy tax.
Okay, item 2.
Item 2 is our budget ordinance. I'll go over it real quickly so everyone understands it. The first 2 items are for the ADA repairs as a result of the accident at the park. The first one is the 265 account is a new account that I've created to capture all ADA repairs. So that has been created for every department so that we can capture those expenses throughout the year. The first 2 lines are a wash, net zero for the budget. The next 2 line items are have to do with the fireworks. So 910 is the Stonebridge Park account, which was the pressure washing that they did internally, and we have reclassed that to the tourism for the fireworks activities, which is a net zero impact. The next 3 lines are for the fire department. What we've done is increase their 320 account and decreased 511 and 512 for a net zero impact again to cover for their furniture needs. They did have furniture that was originally requested within their ARPA account or ARPA money, but due to some increases within the ARPA request, they ran a little bit short, so we were able to find that money within their operating account. So we requesting to move some of that savings to cover it within their operating and not using the ARPA funds. So that allows us to use the ARPA funds to cover some of the overages that they had in there. So that keeps us within our budget for our ARPA. The next one is the fire supplies for 320. This one we increased 320, but there was a savings in the capital, which if you switch over to the next page, you'll see capital expenses on 312,949. They had savings for one of their capital purchases, so we're requesting to move that from the capital fund and transfer that to his operating 320 account. That will cover his needs for a fan purchase. The next one on your front sheet is account 720, which is animal control appropriation, $18,750. This is where we've discussed on the savings for the first 2 months, changing that from an appropriation to animal control to actually building repairs. So this money will be moved to the second page in the capital fund of 312-43750-900 for animal control building repairs. So it's a net zero impact, but it moves it from their appropriation account to an actual capital account. The next line, which is on the front page, 110-415-40253, that is a $5,000 increase. That is actually a $5,000 impact for the single audit that we were required to do for the $750,000 overage that we met. So we were required to do the single audit, which we had discussed the prior meetings. Everything below the line from the 415-80111 to the bottom totals to $52,748.50. That is the total for the ARPA $500 stipend citywide that was approved. So this money on the second page, you'll see, is moving from the account 128 514-640-111. We're moving that money from the ARPA grant funds into general fund. So that was approved for us to use our ARPA funds, but the expenses actually happened in the general fund when we paid those checks out to the employees. So that is a net zero impact basically because we're using the ARPA funds, so there's no additional cost into the general fund. It's just a reclass basically. Does anyone have any questions? Basically, it's just moving and updating the GL accordingly. The only increase is the single audit for the $5,000, except for using the ARPA funds for the $500 stipend.
Do we have any questions? And for Jacob being new, this is kind of customary to clean up the books. And, it may be, like she says, in one account and it has to go to a different account, but it just cleans up the books before the end of the year. Okay. And if you would, Jamie, go back to the, number 2 is the city school, the ordinance on the ROTUS.
The number 1 is that.
Yes, I'm sorry. number
Okay.
1.
Yes,
Okay.
that is just a federal city school invoice that comes to the board before they pay it. So that's required to go through the board.
And again, this is just a pass-through for us. Okay, thank you. All right, and now, number 3, the request for approval.
Okay. Number 3 is the proposed FY24 budget calendar. You'll see that we have 2 proposed budget work sessions for April 13th and April 20th. And then, if all goes well, we will propose a budget on June 13th for final approval. And if there is a need, we have a special called meeting proposed for June 20th. So we do have a contingency date built in for the June 20th date, if that were to be needed. So if there are any dates that need to be updated or changed, you can let us know. But right now, these are the dates for the board that we're working with. We also do have an internal staff calendar that we're working with as far as deadlines and reviews as well.
So the departments are working internally, like you say, and getting everything that you guys need for us for
Correct.
the budget. So everybody keep your calendars checked, and let Pam or Jamie know if something comes up, then we can adjust accordingly. All right, we'll move that on. And then
Number 4 is a request for an intent to change our internal software, our financial software. Currently, we use a software called eGov. We do have NextGen in our payroll account, and in our fixed assets. However, fixed assets, we are using a very, very old next-gen module for that, but we're wanting to update that to the new next-gen. The proposal that you have right now, I can kind of go through that. What we would change would be the next-gen general ledger, which is the first line. Change our next-gen purchasing, the city property tax, and the miscellaneous receipts. Miscellaneous receipts would be used at different locations, and then the top 3 would be used at the central location here at City Hall. The first year cost, total impact, I've changed the format so it's a little easier to read, would be a total cost of $34,250. We would have to use eGov for the first, I'm requesting the first 2 years because we would not import our data into local government, so we would have to build a historical data. I'm proposing 2 years until we build our general ledger data for the first 2 years. So to keep eGov for informational purposes and historical purposes only, that would cost us $7,200. So our total first year cost would be $41,450. That is due to training costs and software costs, creations for the first year. So eGov currently we pay $26,780. So the change for our first year impact would be an increase of $14,670. However, after the first year, the second year we would still need to pay the $7,200 for that informational piece for eGov. But even with that and our second year cost of $16,125, we would still save $3,455. And then in year 3 and 4, we would save $10,655. Changing the software would allow us seamless flow of data. Currently, we use 2 different systems. Depending on what we're using here at City Hall, we use 2 different systems for payrolls and NextGen. We're using property tax and having to switch back and forth with softwares. We've had some issues with eGov as far as the data that we have to get out of it. The general ledger has had issues. They've had some issues with customer service even before I arrived. The response time is very low. The reporting packages are not very good. Local government offers a lot more supportive in the financial packages, the financial reporting. It would be more efficient for the staff to have everything in one module. I've spoken with the auditors about the change. They're very supportive on the change. They have worked with customers that have local government versus eGov. Again, they're supportive on the change. They're aware of the issues with eGov on doing the audit. It would be my request for us to change and be seamless and have all of our financial systems in one software. Is there any questions from?
Thank you for getting that $7,200. That was pretty fast because we had talked about it.
Yes,
today.
and this is something I've been working on trying to prepare. What the intent does, there would be no cost to the city until after the implementation. I've been working with local government, having them come in and actually do a demo already, having them show the demo to the staff, seeing the difference between what they currently have and what local government offers, working with a timeline with local government on if we were to choose this path, what that timeline would look like, especially since we're dealing with the general ledger. So the intent would get us in the pipeline and allow us to actually make sure and ensure that we can have a go live January 1st, since our eGov contract ends on June 30th.
Any other questions of Jamie? So this would start us off, hopefully get it in place and everything for July 1.
Correct.
Beginning of the fiscal year. Okay, great. Any other questions? All right, so we'll move on then to administration.
Good morning, Ms. Mayor and Alderman. For my report for the month of December, it is included in the package. But to look ahead in the month of January, one of the things I was going to come back to the board, it is customary that you all have had a special call meeting in the month of January to go over the mid-year review. And I wanted just to give you all notice to look at dates of either the 26th, the 30th, or the 31st, where we can have a special call meeting for mid-year review. So I would like to request that you'll go ahead and start looking at your calendars for either one of those dates. And in addition to that, and this may not come under the special call meeting, but one of the things that Jamie has been working on is our audit, and we are hopeful to, well, we do plan to have an audit presented to the board by the next board meeting, and it's a possibility that we may include that in the special, at least the review and the special call meeting. So those are the two financial things that are coming ahead. Do want to also let the board know that we're continuing to work on the ADA plan implementation. We started a lot of December. We do have meetings in the upcoming weeks with the school board to make sure everybody is in sync. ADA will come under planning, and we will make quarterly reports at least through the planning committee. We do have MTS working on a couple of issues for the city of Fayetteville, and those reports are probably going to be here in the next week or two, and I will forward them, but also include them in board reports for the next month. Today we're going to immediately following this meeting, we will meet with some of the department heads about the inclement weather plan, so we can tweak that and have that ready in case we have any flooding or snow. We're at that time of year, so we're starting to work on that. And also just to know, in the month of January, we do have a pre-construction meeting, which is scheduled for January 17th, and that's on the William D. Jones project. So that is being planned and being advertised. Rodden mentioned the Don Davidson. We're continuing to work with the consultant to see how we can work with them, as we have some internal work that we need to do, so we're working on that at the present time. And the other thing Jamie was mentioning, local government, but also this coming week we have contacted Omnicord, and there was a software that you all approved back in this past budget. We had problems with implementing it, so we do have consultants coming in this week to work with staff and IT and see whether we can put that to use. So we'll be doing that a lot on this coming Wednesday. So pretty much that's some of the things we have to look forward to in the month of January.
What was those 3 dates again?
The 3 days are January 26th, which is a Thursday, the 30th, which is a Monday, and the 31st.
You have times on those dates?
We have not set a time. What I did, Alderman, I looked at last year. I think last year we put 4 o'clock, and we'll look at a time to consider everybody's budget. Just based on what happened last year, I think we spent probably about an hour, just what happened last year, but right now I'm looking at 4, but we are also open for other suggestions.
Any questions of Mr. Owens? Any questions about administration? What's going on in administration? Thank you. The last item on the agenda is, I just wanted to, for information only, that to the, we had an opening coming up on the Huntsville, the Fayetteville Housing Authority Commission Board, and I will be appointing Angel Wilson. She will attend her first meeting on February the 1st.
Did Ms. Edie not want it anymore?
I spoke with Miss Edie and also spoke with the director of the Housing Authority. And I think Miss Edie, she was okay to stay, but she was okay to leave too, so.
Well, she's been a real asset in the classroom. There's no telling how many. I mean, she's really committed a lot to this community for a lot of years. I'll call her and tell her how much I appreciate. If I find her phone number, I'll call her and tell her how much I appreciate.
We still have to vote on it though, don't we?
Not on that point. I do have her phone number, Danny. I spoke to her on the phone and I also spoke to her in person.
You got it with you right now?
I do not.
You don't, well, send it to me.
Okay. All right.
Just text it to me.
Yeah, and I thanked her for her service over the years and everything. And I, like I said, I also talked with the director at the Housing Authority, and she was good with the change. So, all right. Any other comments or questions?
I've got a question, and this doesn't have anything to do with anything that we talked about today. This is just a question that I'd like to ask. I've heard some rumor about some things. The Dunkin' Donut place that's coming in now. This might be a question for planning, maybe a question for zoning or whatever. But is this business for sale, or is it still? It's owned by Dunkin' Donuts, and they're going to be operating it. Nobody has to pay in or be a buy into the franchise. Is that correct?
Christy, you might could answer that better.
I don't know on that side of things.
Okay.
It's moving forward as a Dunkin' and
Okay.
Jack's been doing regular inspections, but I don't know about the financial.
Okay, because it's listed on a real estate website, and it's wanting, like it's an investment for like an individual person to buy in. And it was like listed for 1.8 million. I don't know if that's just a rumor or if that's...
Typically, a business will apply for a business license and
Right.
you tell all the entities that are part of the business. And I'm pretty sure, and we can research, but I'm pretty sure that they have gone through a business license process or application.
Okay.
That we have everybody listed who are.
Good deal. Well, hopefully that clears things up, because I was looking at it, I was like, man, wait a minute. Hold on, so we'll have a Dunkin' Donuts here, but it's not even going to be open. So, okay, that was just my question. Thank y'all very much.
And sometimes businesses will come in and they will get it started in hopes of someone buying the franchise.
Okay.
I mean, that happens with a lot of, like McDonald's and a lot of different fast foods.
Okay.
That you can buy the franchise, otherwise the company will run it.
Gotcha.
And that's what I
I was totally new on it, didn't know anything about it, and so it was just a question, just for my knowledge.
All right, if nothing else, we will adjourn this work session. Thank you.